Talk about the renewable energy opportunity. Joining for that is Francis Browne, who's Editorial Director, S&P Global. Francis, hi, thank you for joining us. And how would you look at renewables, regeneratives when it comes to India in sense of demand?
Demand in India is very strong, and it will continue to be strong. As we've come out, as the rest of the world and all the world has come out of the pandemic, India has come out extremely strongly. And power is fueling a growing economy. And as that grows, it will increase the need for power and increase the need for feedstocks for that power. So it's very interesting to see India is investing in new coal-fired power stations, about 80 gigawatts, about 25 units. And that's an interesting situation. It will mean new boilers, and it will consume a huge amount of domestic coal, but also blended with high CV coals that is imported too.
Francis, even as you put out all those investments India has been making, but do you see that pace of investments continue going forward?
The increased investment is global, and every economy is challenged to increase the investment in renewable energy, but also it has a great opportunity to produce the technology and the capital equipment needed. India is no different to the rest of the world and is advancing particularly in solar modules, panels, and increasing the amount of solar in the energy mix every single day. This actually creates some volatility in the price, but this is a challenge that has been faced in every country across the world, and India will meet this challenge.
So while it is about power, but it is also about regeneratives and renewables, as you said. We've seen good amount of investment here. How are you looking at market from a point of view of biofuels in India?
I think so, but I think wind and solar will still form the largest bulk of power generation. Obviously there is a need also for EVs in terms of transport. Mobility will have other solutions where there will be biofuels involved. But for power production particularly, it will be a combination of baseload coal and an ever-increasing amount of solar and also wind, with augmented by some gas, and obviously nuclear stays in that mix too.
And Francis, would you say that for India to continue to go into that direction, the next push perhaps would come in from the reforms or perhaps the budget which you're waiting right now?
I think India will be pushing ahead, particularly with renewables. But I think also India has a good head on its shoulders, in so much as the policy decisions will be about what India needs today as much as about what the world needs in the future. So to meet net zero goals of 2050 and 2060, these are ambitions that the world has. But the reality for India is they need to meet power demand growing at around 6% per annum right now. So the policy decisions will be focused on meeting that particular need. In time, of course, the world will come, including India, to use far more renewables in the mix, in its fuel mix going forward. But for now, the important thing is to worry about 2025 and 2026, rather than be fixated with what's happening in 2050.
All right. A final question then, Francis, and this one is on geopolitics. So while all countries are moving in the direction and to their time targets in sense of net zero, do you see that being slowed down or getting impacted because of the geopolitics?
Well, that's fascinating to me, because actually it is one of the most important points that is happening. If the whole world is transitioning at the same time, there will be new winners and some losers. And it's very interesting to me that those that are building their value chains and in terms of creating new technologies, particularly solar panels, solar modules, and particularly wind, will be the winners of the future. And those that can build them most quickly are the ones that have a much shorter permissioning time to get projects up and running and build their domestic supply chains. This is not happening in other countries, particularly in Europe and particularly in the US. The lead time for delivering a project is going out now 10 years or so, whereas in China, the lead time is around 3 years. So for India, I would say if they can get that balance right and build a domestic supply chain to fuel a renewable and sustainable future, then they will be one of the winners when we look back at 2050.
Well, Francis, thank you so much for joining in. So, well, yes, a huge push and some reforms is what India can look at with the kind of power demand that we have, as you said, 6% per annum, and it's expected like that for 2025 and 26 as well. Well, moving